Have you ever wondered why, despite all our technological advances, we seem more anxious, more divided, more lost than ever before? Why the constant pursuit of happiness has left us feeling emptier? What if I told you that the answers to our modern dilemmas were discovered over 2,000 years ago? In a world obsessed with external validation, endless consumption, and instant gratification, there exists a philosophy so powerful, so transformative, that it can literally rewire your brain and revolutionize your life. This isn't some new age trend or quick fix solution. This is Stoicism. Are you tired of being controlled by your emotions? Of feeling helpless in the face of circumstances beyond your control? Of chasing fleeting pleasures that leave you wanting more? Maybe what you need isn't another self-help book or meditation app. Maybe what you need is a philosophy designed to thrive in chaos. But what exactly is Stoicism, and why should you care? Because ignoring these ancient principles is like navigating life without a compass. You'll drift aimlessly, react blindly, and mistake pleasure for happiness. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a practical toolkit for living well. It maps the territory between what we can and cannot control, and teaches us how to find freedom in even the most challenging circumstances. This isn't a history lesson. It's not a summary. It's an invitation to transformation. I'll show you how these ancient teachings can be applied to your modern life in powerful ways. But be warned, once you understand these principles, there's no going back. You'll start to recognize the unnecessary suffering you've been causing yourself. You'll see through the illusions that society has sold you. And perhaps for the first time, you'll understand that the key to a meaningful life isn't found in external circumstances, but in your own mind. The good news? This realization can become your greatest strength, but only if you have the courage to embrace it. So, take a moment, quiet your notifications, and get ready, because this is, without exaggeration, the most important philosophy you can learn in today's chaotic world. And after hearing it, you may never look at your life the same way again. Stoicism wasn't created by armchair philosophers disconnected from reality. It was forged in times of immense suffering, political turmoil, and personal tragedy. From Zeno, who lost everything in a shipwreck, to Epictetus, who was born a slave, to Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire while facing constant war and plague. These were people who understood hardship intimately. But rather than craft a philosophy of escape, they created something revolutionary, a practical system for finding tranquility and virtue, regardless of external circumstances. Founded in Athens around 300 BCE, Stoicism quickly distinguished itself from other schools of thought. While many philosophies focused on metaphysical questions or pursued pleasure as the highest good, the Stoics were concerned with one thing above all: how to live virtuously in an unpredictable world. The brilliance of Stoicism lies in its simplicity and power. At its core is a radical idea that still challenges us today. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. Our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. As Epictetus famously said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This single insight, if truly internalized, can transform your entire existence. The Stoics didn't promise an easy life free from pain. They promised something far more valuable: a framework for maintaining inner peace and dignity through life's inevitable storms. They taught that true happiness, what they called eudaimonia, comes not from external goods like wealth, status, or pleasure, but from living in accordance with virtue and reason. They developed practices, not just theories. Exercises for training attention, techniques for managing emotions, methods for clarifying values, all designed to align our actions with nature and cultivate an unshakable inner citadel. But why do these ancient teachings matter in our hyper-modern world? Because despite our technological progress, the fundamental human condition remains unchanged. We still suffer. We still crave meaning. We still struggle with our emotions and our mortality. And in many ways, we need Stoicism now, more than ever. In an age of constant distraction, endless comparison, and information overload, these teachings offer a path back to what truly matters. At the heart of Stoic practice lies what Epictetus called the dichotomy of control, the most liberating idea you may ever encounter. It's so simple yet profound. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. What's within our control? Our judgments, our actions, our attitudes, our intentions. What's not? Everything else. Other people's opinions, our reputation, wealth, health, and even the length of our lives. This distinction sounds obvious, but ask yourself, how much of your daily anxiety comes from trying to control the uncontrollable? How much mental energy do you waste worrying about things you cannot influence? How often do you base your happiness on outcomes that aren't up to you? This misplacement of concern is the root of unnecessary suffering. The Stoics would say you've handed over your peace of mind to forces entirely outside your power. You've made yourself a slave to circumstance. Think about it. You can't control whether someone likes you, but you can control whether you act with kindness. You can't control whether you succeed in every venture, but you can control whether you act with integrity and give your best effort. You can't control what happens in the world around you, but you can control your response to it. The revolutionary promise of Stoicism is this. By focusing exclusively on what you can control, you become invincible in a certain sense. External events lose their power over your internal state. You develop what the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy as we understand it today, but freedom from destructive emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or becoming cold and unfeeling. The Stoics weren't against emotions. They were against unhealthy, excessive emotions that cloud judgment and lead to suffering. They distinguished between initial involuntary reactions, which they called first movements, and our subsequent judgments about those reactions. You might feel an initial flash of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic. That's natural and not within your control. But what you do with that anger, whether you let it consume you, act on it destructively, or recognize it and return to reason, that's entirely up to you. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But Stoicism isn't just theoretical, it's intensely practical. One of its most powerful techniques is called negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Instead of constantly chasing positive thinking like so much of modern self-help, the Stoics practiced contemplating worst-case scenarios. They regularly imagined losing their possessions, their status, their loved ones, not to indulge in pessimism, but to reduce the fear of loss and increase gratitude for what they currently had. When you consciously imagine losing something precious, your health, your job, someone you love, two remarkable things happen. First, you become prepared for adversity, reducing its power to derail you if it actually occurs. Second, and more importantly, you stop taking these things for granted. You begin to appreciate them with newfound intensity. Try this yourself. Take a moment to imagine that this is the last time you'll see someone you care about. Really let yourself feel the weight of that possibility. Now, how differently might you treat them? How much clearer would your priorities become? The Stoics regularly contemplated their own mortality not to be morbid, but because they understood that confronting the finite nature of life brings extraordinary clarity to how we should live. Another transformative Stoic practice is what scholars call the view from above, the cosmic perspective. The Stoics would mentally zoom out from their immediate concerns, visualizing Earth from space, seeing themselves as tiny figures in an immense universe, situating their momentary troubles within the vastness of cosmic time. Marcus Aurelius advises, think of the whole universe of matter and how small your share. Think about the expanse of time and how brief, almost momentary, the part marked for you. Think of the workings of fate and how infinitesimal your role. This practice doesn't diminish human experience. It rightfully contextualizes it. Your promotion, your breakup, that embarrassing moment that keeps you up at night. From a cosmic perspective, these concerns shrink to their proper size. This isn't nihilism. It's liberation. When you realize that most of what consumes your mental energy doesn't matter in the grand scheme, you become free to focus on what truly does. Living virtuously, being present, contributing whatever good you can to the world during your brief time in it. We live in an age of unprecedented abundance, yet skyrocketing anxiety and depression. We're more connected than ever, yet increasingly lonely. We have access to endless entertainment, yet struggle with finding purpose and meaning. This is precisely where Stoicism becomes not just relevant, but essential. Our modern malaise stems largely from a fundamental confusion about what leads to a good life. We've been sold the idea that happiness comes from external achievement, consumption, and constant comfort. The Stoics would strongly disagree. They knew something we've forgotten. Tranquility comes not from having what we want, but from wanting what we have. Meaning comes not from endless pleasure, but from living according to virtue. Strength comes not from avoiding difficulty, but from facing it voluntarily. The modern world bombards us with messages designed to make us dissatisfied, to feel that we're never enough, that we never have enough. Social media has amplified this by creating constant comparison. The Stoics would see this clearly for what it is: a path to perpetual discontent. True freedom in our age means freedom from these external pressures, the courage to define success on your own terms, to focus on character rather than appearance, to value wisdom over information, to choose the meaningful over the merely pleasurable. What would it look like to apply Stoicism to your life today? It starts with a simple but profound shift in focus. Begin each morning by reminding yourself what's within your control and what isn't. Set intentions for how you'll respond to challenges before they arise. Practice negative visualization for a few minutes, imagining losing something you value. Then open your eyes with renewed appreciation. When faced with a setback, big or small, pause and ask, what's the most Stoic response here? Where is my locus of control? Train yourself to see obstacles as opportunities to practice virtue. End each day with reflection. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow? This practice, which Seneca called daily self-examination, builds the self-awareness essential to progress. Most importantly, start seeing your life as a continuous practice, not a destination. The Stoics understood that philosophy wasn't something you learned once and completed. It was something you practiced daily, like physical training. they would have agreed with Socrates that the unexamined life is not worth living. You've spent your whole life being told that happiness comes from outside yourself, from achievement, acquisition, approval. You've learned to judge yourself by standards not of your choosing. You've chased pleasures that fade, leaving you emptier than before. And at some point along the way, you may have lost touch with what truly matters. You forgot that your character is more important than your reputation, that how you respond to events matters more than the events themselves. That inner peace is possible even in outer chaos. But now, something in you has awakened, and perhaps it's no coincidence that you found this video. The Stoics might say this encounter was destined, part of the unfolding logos of the universe. What I've shared today isn't comfortable or easy. It requires courage. It demands responsibility. It means abandoning the pleasant fiction that happiness comes from controlling the external world. But it offers something far more valuable, a path to genuine tranquility that no person or circumstance can take away. From now on, everything can change because now you know. You've glimpsed an alternative to the anxiety-producing hamster wheel of modern life. You've seen that there's ancient wisdom that still holds the power to transform. The choice is yours. You can return to sleep, chasing the same external solutions that have failed to bring lasting satisfaction. Or you can begin the hero's journey of Stoic practice, the daily commitment to focus on what you can control, to pursue virtue over pleasure, to find freedom in discipline. If something in this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Tell me which Stoic principle struck you most deeply, or which practice you're committed to trying. Because naming your intention is the first step toward making it real. Remember the words of Seneca, "Life is long, if you know how to use it." The Stoics can teach us how to use it well, not by filling it with more, but by bringing wisdom to every moment we're given. The ancient path awaits. Will you take the first step?